Webinars are my favorite way of selling digital products like online courses and memberships. They can convert super well and let new students just flow into your programs. But the tech, that can feel overwhelming. So are you sitting there you've looked at all the sales pages and you're confused between Webinarjam versus Everwebinar? I'm breaking it down for you in today's video. Hi, I'm Gemma Bonham-Carter and I help online entrepreneurs like you market and sell more of their digital products using email marketing. I'm the founder of The Passive Project and I'm obsessed with passive income and helping you build a business that lets you live your dream life. I release a new video every single Thursday, so make sure you go hit that subscribe button. Okay, so first of all, why should we even care about webinars? Well, webinars, like I mentioned at the top of the video, they are the best way for you as a digital entrepreneur to sell your online courses and your memberships. For anything that's like a little bit more high ticket, anything above the $100 range, or some sort of membership where you're wanting them to commit and stay for a longer period of time, a webinar is an amazing conversion mechanism because it allows you to really demonstrate the value of your program or your offer and encourage people to actually make that buying decision while they're on the webinar. It's also a really amazing list building exercise. So we're always wanting to grow our email list, right? Email lists are really important to us as online entrepreneurs. And by delivering really valuable action-packed webinars on a regular basis, you are going to be able to grow your email list like crazy. Webinars also help you build authority as an expert in your niche. So especially when you're first starting out, the more you can offer webinars and position yourself as that subject matter expert in whatever it is, in dog walking, in yoga, in business education, whatever it might be that your business is around, providing valuable workshops and webinars, that positions you as that authority figure. And with webinars, ultimately what it's helping you do is get in front of your people, get in front of your audience, build that connection, build that trust between you and them, and practice your teaching and your selling, because that's what they're for. All right, so let's dive into Webinarjam versus Everwebinar, because there is going to be a time and a place for you to use both of these options in terms of software. You may only need one right now though. So let's walk through what the differences are. So the first step is Webinarjam. Let's talk through Webinarjam. What is Webinarjam for? It is for live webinars. So this is when you want to deliver a webinar live, like on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock in front of your audience. You want those people registering and pouring in live with you where you can answer questions like right in the moment. That is what Webinarjam is great for. So basically what it does is it gives you a webinar room that's like hosted online and it's password protected. People register for your webinar. You send out the link of where the webinar is going to happen. They click on that link from within that email. Let's say it is Tuesday at 2 o'clock. They click it, a few minutes before then, and it's going to take them to this webinar room where they just type in their name and their email address, and then they get let into this like private webinar room. And so there's you on one side of the page that's your screen, and you can do a PowerPoint presentation or keynote presentation, or it can be just you, your face, delivering it live, whatever you choose. There's lots of different options. And then there's this awesome like chat bar on the side where your participants can be typing into the chat. And that's a really great way to get them engaged, right, in your webinar. Even just asking them like who they are and where they're from is a great way to get the ball rolling and get people actually talking in the chat. So the other thing that Webinarjam does is allows you to have all kinds of like little special tools. So there's like a virtual whiteboard, so you can actually kind of like draw out stuff or concepts that you're teaching in your webinar on this kind of virtual whiteboard. So it really is like a very teacher-friendly medium. It also has the live chat, like I mentioned. It has a polls feature, so you can have your audience like vote on polls. You can customize the page in any way. So like, again, whether it's like your slides, or you have your head, like your video part is like small with your slides big, or you can just transition into like face-to-face camera. You have all of those options within Webinarjam. The other nice thing about Webinarjam is that it automatically records your webinar. And so then you have your replay. You can use that video however you want to use it after the fact, and you just have it there available to you as a video file. The other cool thing is that Webinarjam, you set this up in the beginning, and then Webinarjam will actually send out the reminder emails to your registrants automatically. So you can set it up so that it sends one out like 3 days before, the day before, the morning of, and a few minutes before, and that just happens automatically. They even have all the templates for it. So it's just a matter of like, I like to customize them so it sounds more like it's coming from me, not like an automated machine, but it's all there for you and it's really easy to customize. The other thing is that they have amazing data and analytics. So you can check into any of the data points that you're interested in knowing, like how many people registered, how many people showed up, how long did they stay, all of that kind of stuff is in Webinarjam. You can have 6 co-presenters, which is really cool. So if you wanted to do like joint venture webinars with other presenters, you guys can each be presenting. The other thing is that it's really easy to set up, like setting up those emails, setting up a registration page, getting the link for the webinar room, and then heading into the webinar room and kind of like clicking go live and actually delivering your webinar. It is all really easy. I have never, like even the first time I used Webinarjam, I didn't get tripped up on anything. They've made it really user-friendly. And then the other cool thing is as you're going through your webinar at the end, you can have set it up so that your offer, like whatever it is that you're selling, your online course, your membership, it actually pops up at like a certain time in the webinar and with a button to like encourage your people to click over. There can even be like a timer. So if you're offering some kind of like fast action bonus, the timer can be running down. All of those features are really easy to set up inside of Webinarjam. And the other thing is Webinarjam integrates with everything. So if you wanted to integrate with your email service provider, with whatever it might be, they have integrations with like all the main players. So have you done a live webinar before? Comment below and let me know how it went. I love webinars. Okay, so now that we understand what Webinarjam is for, let's dive into Everwebinar because it's a little bit different. They're actually owned by the same company, these two softwares, and you can purchase them as a bundle deal or purchase them separately. So Everwebinar, what is it for? Everwebinar is when you want to take that live webinar that you created and put it on Evergreen. So it means that it's automated. So this becomes like a pre-recorded webinar or a pre-recorded masterclass that you can advertise out to your audience that they can register for and watch at any given time. So you're not having to sit there and deliver it live. It's all pre-recorded, but it's delivered in a webinar style format. And this is the cool thing. It looks exactly the same as Webinarjam. Like, especially as a user, if you're attending the webinar, everything looks the same as it would if it was a live webinar. The room looks the same, the chat thing looks the same, everything looks the same, the polls, the way the offer comes out, the time, that if you have like a countdown, the way that your slides are displayed or your video is displayed, it all looks the same. The other thing is similar to Webinarjam, it is so easy to set up from your end, from like the entrepreneur's end, and you can again have those automated emails that go out that like thank people when they register and then remind them to show up to the webinar that they've signed up for. Now, here's the cool thing about Everwebinar is when you're setting it up, you get to decide how often people can register. So let me just walk you through an example. Let's say you come to I use Everwebinar. So let's say you come to my page where I'm offering you to watch a masterclass of mine. You click on the register button and something pops up and it says, watch the webinar, like the just-in-time webinar that's like happening in the next 15 minutes. So that's an option. So for people who want to watch it right away, that's available to them. Or they can register I have it set up so that my webinar, people can register for it at 4 different times of day. It's something like 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m., something like that, for every single day of the week, 7 days a week. So, but I only show them the just in time and like the next 2 days. So that it's like more immediate, right? They're not, who's going to sign up for a webinar like a week from now, right? When they come to a page and they want it right away, they want that information. Honestly, most people choose the just in time. That's like my highest attendance is that particular option, but it's nice to have multiple options. And here's the thing with Everwebinar. I'm not into making it seem slimy in that like, I'm going to pretend that it's live, but it's not really live. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, Joanna, crazy that it's snowing in Toronto today. If that happened on my actual live webinar and I had like a conversation with Joanna because she typed it into the chat that she's in Toronto and it's snowing, great. That's cool that that happened live. But the video that I'm going to use for my automated webinar is not going to be that one. I don't want to pretend that it's live. I want people to feel like again, at the same time, at the beginning of the webinar, I'm not saying this is a pre-recorded webinar by Gemma Bonham-Carter. I'm not. I'm just diving into it like I would with any workshop or webinar, but I'm just not doing anything that's going to pretend that it's live, right? So if you're getting that feeling of like, oh, I don't like those like slimy, sleazy webinars where it's like they're pretending they're live, but they're not really, and I see right through it and it makes me not trust them, cool. I don't like that either. That's not what you need to do, right? You're just going to adjust the way that you deliver your webinar so that it makes sense as a pre-recorded webinar. And then that becomes an incredible tool, because if you have a pre-recorded webinar on Everwebinar, what I love to do is I link that into a sales funnel that can be ongoing, right? That it's automated, it's happening all the time. So I can always say to my people, hey, I have this amazing masterclass. Here's the link. And it's like in my Instagram bio, it's on my social media posts, it's embedded into blog posts of mine. I talk about it here and there and everywhere. And so all the time people are signing up for that webinar, that masterclass, and then they go through a series of sales emails after the fact that sell them on my courses or membership or other digital product, right? That's the beauty of Everwebinar, is that it can be running 24/7. And so you can be consistently getting sales in the door. So that's the big difference between Everwebinar and Webinarjam. Webinarjam for live webinars. Everwebinar is for automated webinars. So you have to decide, are you going to do both? Are you going to do just live to start with and then make it automated? That's up to you. So what I love to do with my business is, like I said, have that automated evergreen webinar happening all the time, 24/7, so that I'm getting new customers and new students like rolling into my business all the time. But then I also do live launches of my products. And when I do live launches of my products, I'm using a live webinar. I'm using Webinarjam. So that's when I would be using the Webinarjam software as opposed to the Everwebinar software. Okay, so I have some sweet goodies for you. I have a free 60-day trial of Everwebinar. The link is below the video. So definitely click the link and grab that free 60-day trial of Everwebinar, because then you can test out your evergreen webinar funnel and kind of see how it works and get one going for your business. You are gonna love it. And then on top of that, I also have a $1 60-day trial for Webinarjam. So basically for $1, you can get 60 days of both softwares. That's 2 months with these programs. And if you really put your mind to it and delivered some webinars and got your evergreen webinar funnel going in the next 2 months, you are not even gonna believe how much further ahead and how much growth you're gonna see in your business. I'm also including a link below with this video where you can sign up for a free class on how to actually use webinars for your business. Now, it is run by the people who made Everwebinar and Webinarjam, so they know it all. They're sharing it all in this free class, and at the end, they're gonna offer you a bundled promotion so that you can get both softwares in this like great bundle with a bunch of bonuses, and you get a certain amount of money off and all that kind of good stuff. So the link for that is below this video as well. You're also gonna wanna grab my free email funnel blueprints, because this freebie shows you how to create the sales funnel that you wanna use with your webinars. So it's all well and good to deliver a webinar, but you're gonna be able to double your conversion rate if you have an amazing sales sequence of emails that come after the webinar to everybody who registered. So that is what my email funnel blueprints are showing you how to do. So make sure you grab that freebie. Again, the link is below the video. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hopefully at this point you really understand what Everwebinar and Webinarjam are for. You're ready to use those in your business. Leave a comment below telling me which one you're gonna use first, and maybe even what product you're gonna do a webinar for. I'd be super curious to hear. And make sure you go snag those free trials. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I'm rooting for you.